is Francesco Abbruzzino with the Scoop News. Okay, I think everybody expected this, and everybody that was involved or concerned about it probably was listening like I was yesterday to the meeting. Basically, the hospital was approved. I remember when I interviewed the group, and off camera I said, you guys do know it's an uphill battle, right? And they had Dan, who is a nice guy, expensive, but he never really wins. And the problem is with the county, or when you're talking to cities, the commissioners and the city councils, their hands are essentially tied. And it makes you wonder, why do we even need comp plans? Because they're going to just be disregarded, like this one. They're just going to be tossed aside. This was a residential. They turned it commercial. So all these people that bought their houses all around there thinking that it would be all residential are now waking up and finding out, wow, they're building this huge-ass hospital right there, and it's no longer residential. And all the promises and commitments that were made to us were just lies. And it's sad. It's a travesty. But it's the way it is. You know, a lot of people are like, well, we got to care more about the development stuff. And people get pissed at me because I said, well, it's a lost cause. You know, I'll go out there and I still believe in it, but I know it's a lost cause. Basically, you got so many new transients that have moved in here, and they now outnumber the people like the old school folks like myself that remember what it was like in the 80s and 70s. And they want the development. They want the bayfront along the waterway. They want the hospital and all that stuff. And, you know, I've realized it and I've accepted it. Time to move on, you know. Unfortunately, it's a battle, a war that was lost. But in regards to this hospital, you know, once I heard the county manager, Lewis, come out and say, well, we've already built this into our budget and we've already planned on it with the budget for River Road, so I knew it was a dum-dum. Like, these guys planned on going through all the time. And also on the other side, what I said is you can't blame them. You end up in a lawsuit. Boone has threatened it numerous times. Boone was the attorney for the hospital. Basically, he sat there at many meetings. I'm not sure about this one, I don't recall, but he'll sit there and say, well, you know, if it doesn't go our way, then yeah, we're going to litigate it. And he makes that threat out there. And so then you get stuff like Murphy Oaks. Now, Murphy Oaks isn't his. He's actually on the other side of the table on this one. But when a decision doesn't go a developer's way, they file suit. And more than likely, after a ton of money, they'll win it. Probability is high. That's just what's at stake. So I think a lot of these county commissioners and city council folks, they realize that. They realize that, you know, hey, if we don't approve it, it's going to go to it's going to go to court, and we're probably going to lose, and we're going to lose a shitload of money. It all brings me back to why have a comp plan? Why put a comp plan out there? That's what, I mean, they had a comp plan out there. They said this was residential. People spent thousands and millions of dollars buying houses and prettying them up and everything, thinking it was going to be residential. They didn't realize that all the county had to do was go to the state and say, well, we're revising the comp plan. We're going to make this commercial, and the state rubber stamps it. And boom, your value, the property value. I've talked to some people, their property values dropped. One person had to drop them 30 grand for their sale there. Nothing done about the roundabout. You know, so us as taxpayers are going to get hit with that expense. The only person who voted against it was Nancy Dieter. But she did it comfortably because she's the chair. She's the last vote. She could vote against it, knowing it was still going to go through. They only needed 4 of the votes. So was she sincere? I don't know. That's the luxury of being the chair, or like in Venice, the mayor, because you're the last vote. And if you see it's going to go through, but it's unpopular, you can vote against it. And people believe you're against it. That's how that rolls. So the hospital's going out, you know, 290 beds. They're going to have to revamp. The reason they wanted to move was they didn't want to put 60 or 80 million, I can't remember the number, into renovating the one on the island. So they're going to downsize that, and it's still going to be open at about 10 or 20% of capacity of what it is today. They're going to start the construction on this hospital over summer. And, you know, once it's all completed, the traffic's going to increase, I think, something like 6,000 travelers a day on that lane. Now they are going to make it from 2 to 4 lanes from their far easterly side of Venice Avenue up to the roundabout. But you guys know what the roundabout nightmare is now. Imagine when all those houses that are being built right there on that corner are completed and people start to move in. The hospital is up and operating at full capacity. The Cadillac dealer, or I think it's a Cadillac dealership, goes in there. The new businesses. That roundabout is going to be a hellish nightmare. So hopefully the county commissioners, since they decided to ignore it during this issue, will take it up and find a resolution. Doubtful, but hopeful. That's it. So new renovated hospital, $200 million is blown out to it. It's going to have a helipad. I think it's 85 stories is what the zoning variance gave them. The hospital should be, like I said, start this summer. It should be done in about 3 years. And that's it. That's all we got on the hospital. Now we go on to the next battle, the next fight that we all shall lose. All right, everyone. This has been Frankie Abbruzzino with The Scoop.